fighting Obama's reign of terror. That's what I'd like to talk about today. You know, yesterday I spoke about how Obama's coalition is based on so many ethnic and special interest groups that are so lined up with him that the Republican Party has to win everybody who's not in those groups by 4-1 to have a chance to win the election, something that's almost impossible to do. Well, we have to understand something crucial about the Obama base. None of it relates to his core objectives as president. They are all extraneous objectives, secondary and tertiary items on the agenda, which he has ginned up to terrify and scare the wits out of each of these individual groups and bind them to the Democratic Party, and in the process, use them to push his agenda of socialism, increased spending, increased taxation, and increased regulation, and increased borrowing, which most of those groups would oppose if that was the key issue. What we need to do in the Republican Party is douse those fears, lower that level of terror. When we have a Senate candidate who says that you can't get pregnant from a rape, and another one says, oh, rape is an act of God, it scares the living daylights out of women, that they could get raped and not be able to have an abortion. It terrifies them. Why do we need to do that? It's ridiculous. Why can't we just go to the women of America, the single women who are pushing on to keep abortion legal, and say, listen, we know that this isn't going to be overruled in the next few years because Obama's in charge. Let's work together on eliminating the crazy extremes of the rape thing or third trimester abortion, and instead focus on things like birth control and adoption and abstinence education and parental notification to reduce the number of abortions. We've cut them in half since the early 90s. That's where our efforts will be focused. And then they'll breathe easy, and there's a very good chance that we will win a lot of their votes, particularly over issues like education, where we're taking on the teachers' union and bringing real education reform to the schools, which they strongly support. Or the Latino vote. Why go around saying we're going to self-deport all the Latinos? And everybody has visions of these huge buses with people being lined up to go on them, and terrifies the Latino vote and leads a constituency that voted for Kerry in '04 by 10 points only to vote for Obama by 70 points 8 years later. It's ludicrous. Pass the Rubio bill, which says that if you're here illegally, no free ride. You pay a fine, you pay your back taxes, you certify that you have no criminal record, and we check that out, and you learn English, and then you can stay here and work. And after an 8 or 10 year period, you can become a citizen. But only if you go back to the end of the line behind everybody who's way on the waiting list. And when your turn comes normally, you then are entitled to become a citizen and eventually a voter. Latinos want to vote Republican. They're pro-family. They're entrepreneurial. It's why they came to this country in the first place. They don't want to see those democratic policies make the United States as bad as the country they left. It's why they left them. So let's stop terrorizing people, and let's stop giving Obama the fodder that he needs on these extraneous issues to develop support for his core message of spending and borrowing. And let's instead lower their fear threshold so that we can once again return to the core message of the Republican Party. Less debt, less spending, less regulation, less taxation, more free market entrepreneurialism. That's a message that broad swaths of the electorate would agree with. But we're not letting them agree with it. Not because of our positions. We don't need to change any of them. But our rhetoric, our packaging, our emphasis has given Obama a club to hit us over the head with. And that's why we lost in 2012. You know, while I have you here, I want to mention a book that I spoke about yesterday that is just fantastic. It's called The Obamacare Survival Guide. And this is not a paid endorsement. I'm not getting paid for this. It is a step-by-step guide to how to survive Obamacare. How do you tell the difference between a platinum, gold, diamond and bronze, or silver and bronze insurance policy? Those are the categories in the law. When can you get a subsidy? How do you go about getting it? If you're a senior citizen, how do you get the care that you need rather than the care that the government wants to hand out? It's not a political action book, and it doesn't take a position on Obamacare. But what it does do is give you, as a patient, not as a citizen, but as a human being, a way to make sure that Obamacare doesn't destroy your health, which it would do if you don't know these facts. So order it from our website. Obamacare Survival Guide. Thanks a lot.